want to ask you this. Do you think that the Trump campaign or the super PAC supporting Trump would have run the same ads if Biden was the opponent?
It's tough to say. I think they would have been out there. Joe Biden still has, by the way, my favorite response to one of these gotcha questions, which was, I think it was what I'm about to say.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
The 2020 election cycle, somebody tried to do a gotcha and be like, Joe Biden, how many genders are there? And he goes back and goes, at least 2, which is a factually correct statement and is smart alecky in a way that I really appreciated.
God. The best part was the guy tried to like follow up with being like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, now don't try that with me, Jack.
Don't come at me with that malarkey. But like that's exactly the kind of way that you have to respond. It's a perfect example. Everybody knows who Joe Biden is, what he's about, what his deal is. He's Scranton Joe. You love him or you hate him. And God knows everyone has an opinion on him, and all that's fine. But you know what he's about. And he immediately pivoted back to talking about what his message was and what he cared about.
I'm mostly sad that he can't ride on Amtrak anymore.
Yeah.
What? Wait, why can't he ride on Amtrak anymore?
Isn't that because he still has Secret Service protection? Wouldn't that be too much of a risk?
I don't know. By the way, well, they've done it before. This is where I'm gonna kind of like not beat the Fomer allegations. They've done it before where they've had like dignitaries ride in like the cars at the front of the train that they use to like inspect the track. Anyway, by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, trains?
Yeah.
Wow, did y'all see that?
Marjorie MTG saying trans rights.
Trains.
Wow, that's incredible.
Waving the RuPaul train ride flag. Yeah.
Not the RuPaul meme. Oh my god, that was such a classic.
If you're listening and haven't seen that, first of all, you're probably younger than I am by a margin. But also go look up RuPaul trains rights and you'll get a chuckle. It's one of my favorite things that's ever happened. To actually answer the question though,
like, what were the other 2 of the 4 strategies?
Well, it was campaign 101, right? Don't run a bad campaign. Kind of important. Yeah. Lean into equality if you're pro-equality. That's 2. 3, don't let the attacks go unanswered. Sorry, I'm checking my notes here. I'm breaking the magic. And then pivot to offense. So those are the 4. But to go back and answer the question about would it have been as effective against Biden?
Yeah.
It's tough to say, but I think one of the things that does not change is I say this reluctantly as like trans people all the time are, this, Kate, and I'm sure you do as well, Christine, like we're always labeled as trans rights activists, right? Even if your job is like baker or construction worker or computer programmer, if you're talking about trans issues, you get labeled as a trans rights activist. Like I'm actually a trans rights activist, right? Like this is honest to God my job.
You're the one.
Yeah, I'm the one. I hesitate to say this. I say this with some level of pain, but there's also like we got to be realistic about the struggles that we're facing. There's a CNN poll that placed trans rights dead last among the issues that motivated people that went out to vote in this past set of elections. An Emerson poll placed it 50 points behind the economy. 50 points. I think it's pretty clear that like there is definitely a subset of folks that agrees with, the anti-trans messaging, but there is a much, much wider range of people that's like, yeah, whatever. It's not great from a, we want to pass pro-equality legislation and like win lived and legal equality. But it also means that they're not like straight up against us. Those are people that are gettable. I can go out and make sure that we tell our stories well and bring them along. So this is kind of like a half answer to would it have been effective against Joe Biden? I don't know. I think he had more of a chance to establish himself because he was in the Senate for ever. And people knew who he was. He was a known quantity. So he didn't have to do like people didn't think about Kamala Harris between when she dropped out of the, primary and when she got to the top of the ticket. She was vice president, right? Vice president is, you're in the background.
By the way, I liked Joe Biden's cameo in the James Garfield show on Netflix. I'm kidding. This is a joke.
I was
Is
like,
there
what
a
did I
James
miss?
Garfield show on Netflix? That would
There
not surprise
is.
me.
Yeah. What's it called? Struck by Lightning? Something by Lightning? Death by Lightning?
Okay.
It's good. You'd like it.
Are they just doing every president now? Are we going to see like a
Death by
Zachary
Lightning.
Taylor TV show?
Wow,
Like
that's throwing it
so-
back.
William Henry Harrison, the 30 Minutes of Glory or whatever it was. Which one was the one that like caught a pneumonia during the inaugural?
Oh God, I forget.
Uh,
But Garfield was assassinated, so
Yes.
the show is about him and his assassin. And actually,
I'm wondering what the connection is. Like, I know it's not an enemies to lovers arc or something.
no, it was like the guy was kind of, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm spoiling history. What am I talking about? No, Matthew McFadden plays the assassin who is
The
in
Succession guy?
Succession guy. Yep,
And Pride and Prejudice.
very
guy.
creepy, scary character, by the way. But
If
he was
my wife
basically
listens to this, she'll be mad that I didn't recognize him as the Pride and Prejudice guy. Big Austin fan.
but he was like a Garfield fanatic. Like he was like a MAGA guy before there was a MAGA, and got like alienated. Basically was out of his mind the entire time. But yeah, it was actually a really good show. I think it's only like 3-4 episodes maybe. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see Joe Biden. Like I can't believe he's been around that long.
I'll have to add it to my list after I watch Pluribus.
Yes,
Yeah.
another good show. I think that the irony for me with talking about Harris versus Biden and whether that ad would have been run in the first place or worked is that in the 2020 primary, amongst most trans people, like Biden was clearly the more pro-trans candidate. Like I remember writing a couple of pieces that were extremely critical of Harris's record on trans rights, and I got obliterated by the K-Hive on Twitter at the time. And if you sat me down and had me list out like who's the most pro-trans from that Democratic primary, Harris is not at the top of the list. So like to me, it's deeply ironic that it was like allegedly a Harris is for them ad that brought her down.
Christine here. If you're enjoying this episode, consider subscribing. We publish every other week, so be sure to ring the bell to be notified for our next episode.